I'm not getting video. Is that supposed to be away?
Give me a minute. Oh, I got it.
Okay.
Got that? Hello, everybody.
Oh my God, is it that time again?
I think it is. You can see us now, Andrew, right?
Yes.
Hi, everybody.
Yo, what's
Yo.
up?
We got Justin in the studio today.
Live and direct from the capital of Texas.
Hey, that's all right.
The Alamo?
That's also right.
No, but we're glad you remembered.
Bryce said I was right, so.
You're right in our hearts, and that's
Deep,
what matters.
deep in your heart?
Deep in my heart, in Texas. That's right. Hi, everybody. We're gonna get started here in just a moment. Thank you for your cooperation. Everybody have a good weekend?
Yep.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it was great.
Had a good weekend.
I was watching the game.
Yeah, me and Bryce watched some college football.
Oh yeah, it was good. It was a nail biter
It was.
right up to the last minute.
It was UFUM. I don't know.
University of Florida
I have
and
no interest
University
in
of
either
Missouri?
team, but because
Miami.
I
Miami.
was
Okay.
raised in Florida, I have an unnatural pull.
You know what's funny is I think I caught the end of that. It was Saturday night. It was late, right?
Yeah.
It was around
Yeah.
10 or 11 o'clock. Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I caught the end of that.
Yeah.
And then
It was in Orlando.
yeah,
The game
Yeah,
itself was in Orlando.
Everybody was cheering.
When
and
Brian
shouting.
was in the stadium. No.
I was the quarterback.
That explains some of those picks. Yeah.
No,
But
so
it was
that was
good.
fun. Yeah,
That
watched
was fun.
college football with Bryce, and
I
then
got a big beer.
we had big beers.
beers.
Bryce had
Those Pluckers big beers are way bigger than you
Bryce.
think.
All right, so we're at this sports bar chain here in Texas called Pluckers, and they do like many sports bars. They'll do the like regular pint.
or for 50 cents more,
Yeah.
you could have 75 beers.
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah.
Yes.
They upsell you like popcorn at the movie theater, and they're like, you get the big beers. So,
the big one.
of
And it
course-
wasn't even a hard sell. She was like, "You want a big one?" I was like, "Yeah."
But of course, because Bryce isn't drinking beer, he's drinking cider. He gets the biggest cider I have ever seen served in any kind of.
The big glass stein.
Just a gigantic glass stein of cider. It just made me laugh.
It was good.
It's like, I love apple juice.
I
lot.
do.
Clang.
May we rust well in Valhalla.
Give me a gallon of apple juice.
How was your weekend, Andrew?
Weekend was good. For fun, I pick up different sort of software projects and stuff. Been working on, playing a lot in virtual reality and stuff. So,
So,
Yeah.
cranking along.
yeah, I was up till Saturday night. I went to bed at like 7 a.m. in the morning on Sunday.
Oh, Jesus.
Got like 4 hours of sleep.
So you are in the code hole these days.
Yeah, well, and then I've got it today after I've got another podcast I've got to do after things, and that I got to go back in and do book mode for a couple days, and then go out of it, then back in, and so I go from books to coding, just to sort of.
Just vary up the things that you're doing at your computer for 7 hours at a time.
Yeah, that's the sad part.
Hey, I'm sure we'll talk about it on the show, but have you finished Three Body Problem?
No, not yet. It's boring, but really well written.
How far in are you?
I've got another 6 hours to go.
It's like 2.5 bodies.
Yeah,
there's
I know everybody loves it. My buddy Simon raves. I'm sure it's gonna pick up and move on and all that. But I'm just like, if
I'm on the second book now, and you're going to be surprised to hear this, but at this point, it reminds me an awful lot about what I really dug about reading Pandora's Star and Judas Unchained. Like, can you just is it known what the secrets of the video game are?
No, I mean they're somebody just got murdered. I've been listening to like 10 minutes a night and then going to sleep, and so also it's kind of getting fuzzy. So
Well,
I know more about the book than I want to know already because somebody spoiled stuff for me. So I know what the main conceit is. So
go ahead and tell me.
How about no?
How about us also have,
Well, are you guys gonna read it?
I mean,
I'm gonna keep
maybe.
reading it. Yeah, I'm gonna keep reading it, Brian. I'm gonna keep reading it. I just, again, like I've been going to bed at like 7 a.m. and like books. I only listen to fiction when I go to sleep at night. That's I don't do it during the day. So
Yeah.
it takes me forever. But I'll keep going. Don't worry. It's the science and stuff is great. It's what I love about the writer is that I always get frustrated, like, oh, so-and-so's the next Michael Crichton. I'm like, this person is got it wrong. It doesn't do what they're doing. This person's great. He can write a theoretical physicist different than an applied physicist, and not just I'm a sciencey person saying science stuff. So I'm sure it'll be good. I just need to listen to it when I'm not going to the arms
Exhausted.
of slumber.
alrighty, I am good on my side now. Whenever you guys are ready to do the show.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Are we live now?
We are live.
Yeah, we're live.
And
It's a great book. No, it is. I mean, the writing on it is fantastic. So, all right. Oh, 1 p.m. ish, our time Pacific, or 4 p.m. on the East Coast. The SpaceX Hopper may be doing its first test flight of like 150, 200 feet,
Cool.
which would be huge. This thing's bigger than, it's like 4 grasshoppers strapped to, I mean, it'd be huge. So we probably want to keep a little bit of eye on that. And
Is that going to be live streamed or?
We will find out.
Gotcha.
Somebody somewhere might be doing that. There's so much more coverage on it now.
Rad.
okay. Well,
I'll follow, like, Everyday Astronaut will be giving updates, I'm sure, on that on, let me just put his Twitter feed.
yeah, keep an eye out because they don't have a live feed up yet. And
No,
usually-
it wouldn't be like a main SpaceX feed.
Some bootleg.
So this will be a little over an hour from now.
Yeah.
Okay. Hi, everybody.
Hey.
All right, let's pull this up and get that ready.
You ever do that thing where you get a shirt and you're excited about the shirt and then
Yeah.
the shirt's in the wrong size? Like it was never in the right size.
Oh, really?
I bought there's a buddy I watch on Twitch who has like a Teespring, so I bought a shirt of his.
Uh-huh.
And I used they have those panels on Twitch, so you just look under the window and it says like,
Yeah.
hey, here's the thing. So I used that to buy the shirt, and either I didn't see the size or I missed the size, so they sent
No.
it as a small, and it's like a long sleeve shirt, so you can really tell it doesn't fit.
Muscle
well.
tee.
Well,
Yeah.
dumpy sort of
Flex
tee.
on
Hey,
it.
isn't that a like
X
a,
on these
a
hoes.
baseball? Isn't that a baseball style thing where it like ends in the middle of your forearm or something like that?
Yeah, those are baseball tees, but
Yeah.
this one is full length.
Yeah.
Is a full length one.
But I mean, no, not anymore. Now you're just rocking a baseball
Well,
tee.
but the problem is it's the right length, but it's tight around the mid. It's just
Yeah.
too tight.
It's wetsuit.
Yeah, a little.
It's a
bit.
monkey shirt.
And so I don't know.
Feeling
The bummer.
not so great.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, here's one way to compound the fact that I made a mistake is
Right.
to also look at myself in the mirror.
Wearing it. Yeah. All right. You good to go, Andrew?
I'm ready.
All right, then take it away, Andrew, in 3, 2.
Hello and welcome to the Weird Things Podcast. I'm Andrew Main, joined by Brian Brushwood,
hey, milk leg.
Mr. Justin Robert Young,
Hey, milk leg.
and Bryce Castillo.
Hey, milk leg?
Sorry. Just before we went live, I saw my Twitter feed, and I guess the new.
There's an episode where Brian and I were on the Ice Cream Social podcast. It went on a very bizarre rant, and we encourage people to go listen to it. But that is not this podcast. This is the Weird Things podcast, where we talk about weird things.
Like milk legs.
Yeah.
Wait,
There's
no,
nothing
wait.
weird about a milk leg, but milking a leg would be weird.
All right. I want to begin this podcast with a new segment I like to call Thanks, Brian.
Oh, all right. Here we go. 3, 2, 1. Thanks, Brian.
Last week, you may remember on the podcast, Brian was like, I hate to say this. I don't want to put this out there. I just hope nobody puts a gun on a drone. Using a little solenoid actuator with a little elliptical sort of thing to hit the trigger. I know this model that you could probably get online of solenoid. It's just power. I hope nobody does this. Targeting software. That stuff's online. You look at GitHub. All you have to do is type in facial recognition and then Arduino.
I definitely speculate of like, wow, it seems like somebody would have put together a facial recognition drone to take out 75 people in a single string of headshots.
Apparently, FAA listens to our podcast. Because Thursday, they issued a press release.
Drones and weapons, a dangerous mix.
Oh, my God.
The FAA is warning the general
Brian.
public that it is illegal to operate a drone with a dangerous weapon attached.
There was
Brian.
What's funny is I saw there was some story on the news talking about this, and they specifically said, yes, this even counts for duct taping Roman candles to your drone. And quite literally, that was one of the ideas for the Modern Rogue.
Really?
we were going to do that.
Read the second paragraph. Remember, it's like 4th of July when the fire department shows you all the cool stuff you can do.
Yep.
All right, so here we go. Perhaps you've seen online photos and videos of drones with attached guns, bombs, fireworks, flamethrowers, and other dangerous items. Do not consider attaching any items such as these to a drone because operating a drone with such an item may result in significant harm to a person and to your bank account.
Got him. Hit him where it hurts.
The pocketbook.
Wow.
Yeah, no, that was kind of weird that we were just talking about is there a wire around here? What's going on?
Is someone recording this?
Yeah, wait, is this getting published? Is there an RSS feed?
Jared, this is a reminder, folks. Don't do it. But did you see that video of the drone with the Roman candle attached?
I might have. I don't know if there's one
Looks amazing.
that crushed. I mean, it seems
I
awesome.
believe
right?
there was a wrestling video of it's like a wrestling match, but it had all these funny elements of it, and one of them was, I believe, a drone with a Roman candle on it.
Oh, that's right. Specifically to disperse a party. The dude was just like,
looking
get
right
out
now.
of here.
Horrible thing. We don't know the context, what's going on here, and it is just.
Oh my God! He's like looking toward people, and it's just firing.
It's firing at like a public street, like an active roadway, and people walking around.
It's
Oh
so
my
amazing.
goodness.
Yeah, and I hope that guy got arrested is going to jail.
Sure.
Yes,
That's
that's a bad thing. You should not be doing it. It definitely looks like domestic terrorism. But if it were a fantasy world, man, would it look super cool.
Oh, that's amazing. So, how long until more people start trying this? I mean, it's good that out of nowhere, fans of the
Well, the
podcast,
answer
the
is
U.S.
now.
government.
More people are trying this. So,
Oh my God, we're looking at a 500,000 view YouTube video that is from the drone's perspective of just firing a Roman candle at his friend in the wilderness somewhere.
And this video is 5 years old.
That seems like that's all fair game. I mean, the dude's got proper safety equipment on. They're having a good time. Should that be illegal? Should that cost $25,000?
Oh my God, it does look insane.
It looks like a lot of fun.
Well, I mean, look, what you are doing on the privacy of your own property, although many people do many things that are technically illegal safely on the privacy of their own property, right?
Yeah.
The larger problem here is what the first video was, which is somebody taking the law into their own hands and not waiting for the cops to show up to disperse a party, and instead terrorizing a bunch of people with a drone Roman candle combination.
And we don't even know what the context is, too. And that's another story here I want to talk about, where all we know is we see a drone of the Roman candle at night fired. It looks pretty. It looks neat.
Yeah.
So did footage of, I don't know, people, the military firing, C-140, carrier, airplanes firing armaments, at people, stuff too. Oh, it's pretty. Like, oh wow, this is horrific. People are dying.
Yeah.
Maybe they need to. I don't know, but this is horrific, but still pretty.
I mean, and that's the thing is like for a certain demographic, and I will include probably all of us in it as adventurous and at one time adventurous and silly young men who would enjoy lighting a Roman candle and firing it at a friend of ours. There is a danger to it. You can get hit with something. Something can get in somebody's eye and cause like permanent damage. So it is a very dangerous thing to do. Not to mention like an out and out terrifying one if you are dispersing it against a crowd.
Yes.
And we don't know. All we know is what we saw in that video, and presuming that's real. But that was a problem. Is like we live in an age where somebody says, "Oh, look at this guy dispersing people at a party." We don't know. That's what somebody tweeted it out and said that happened, and not reliable. And speaking of not reliable, man, I didn't want to do the story because it is so frustrating the way the media has handled this and the people's handled it. But I've had two separate people like, "Oh, are you going to cover this? Are you going to cover this?" And so I want to talk about it real quick. Anne McClain. Astronaut Anne McClain, American hero. She set endurance records for space, International Space Station. She is, a hero to, people who look up to go into space. She is just former Air Force. Incredible person. Involved in a divorce. She's getting divorced from her spouse. And hey, guess what? Divorces are kind of messy, and the person you're divorcing often makes all sorts of claims and allegations that turn out to be kind of BS or whatever, because they want to make you out to be the villain, okay? Which is normal. And I have no idea their relationship, what's going on, who the other person is, anything about them, whatever. All I know is divorces are messy. Every friend of mine that's been into a divorce, you hear the things that come out, and it's just exaggerated. So, and that's a civil proceeding. It's not a criminal proceeding. So apparently her spouse and her attorney made a claim that while she was in space, while she was on board the space station, she committed a crime by accessing her bank account. We don't know if it was a joint bank account. We didn't know anything, but it was a claim made in there. And then somebody did the typical, well, we hear NASA's investigating this. All that means is somebody told NASA, and NASA says, oh, we'll look into it. It made headlines everywhere, like first crime in space and all this. And man, it was just watching a little divorce thing get blown into.
What are you doing? We wished for this on this very show. We talked about and speculated about when the first major space crime was. We placed bets about how many years it was going to be. This is amazing. This is nothing less than awesome.
You wanted to take somebody who is a extremely amazing, dedicated person, and you want to put their face and embarrass them publicly throughout the world for something that's not apparently a crime. They didn't do anything wrong as far as we know. You're happy about that?
Did you miss the part where we get to talk about space crimes? Why is this not anything? Why is this not?
All right. So let's understand, because I can get where both of you are coming from. Like, this is newsworthy because it's in space, and almost exclusively because it's in space, because as Andrew points out, this is not even dog bites man. This is dog looks at man. Like
in space.
But well, hold on. We will get there. We will get there.
Right.
Because I want to address Andrew's frustration, which I can understand, which is that, look, these things routinely do not make news at all, right? Add to the fact that it's a same-sex couple. There's apparently like a baby in custody of a baby involved in it. So it's like, okay, maybe that elevates it to ripped from the headlines Lifetime movie if they're on Earth, right?
Right.
This is almost exclusively a thing where it is being talked about because the divorce attorney is trying to make this a big deal because, and here we will address your element of this, it's in space. It is just the way that things go. I get what Andrew's saying, which is like, whether or not she's in space, this is somebody that has worked very, very hard for our country to explore outer space that is now being dragged through the mud because of her notoriety. But at the same time, it is something that opens a gateway for us to talk about just like in general, like, is this the new normal? Is literally anything that happens because being in space is only going to get more commonplace,
Right.
because we are only going to get people that do not have the pedigree that this lady has, that are going to be up there, that might do things even more nefarious, that we are just at a point now where the dam has been broken.
Back up. More nefarious. It's a claim in a civil case, and as you pointed out, the spouse's defense attorney did this because he knew it would be the most damaging thing they could say. The most damaging thing that could be said could be this. And maybe they have a right to say this, whatever. It's not an FBI case. There is no. Case at all. No criminal case. And so it's this Michael Avenatti style sort of like, let me make the most and that's the thing that frustrates me is people get all excited like, oh, space crime. I'm like, no, defense attorney, or excuse me, a divorce attorney for opposing person says, how can I damage this person as much as possible? Job done. Even though we have no idea knowing the merits of this, whatever, and people just gleefully go, space crime, whatever. Anne McClain's a real person. She's a real person with a kid. And now she's become the butt of this joke for everywhere from a claim made in a civil case.
Yeah, but also this is unbelievably important because this is the kind of case, even if it is spurious at the start of it, if we are people who cover the topic of weird things, and we are people who don't presume to have already known who's the good person and the bad person in this story, but instead,
which I've not.
Then it seems like most certainly this is going to be huge because this is how legal precedents get established is in cases exactly like this.
Well,
this is super huge.
So here
you have to decide like whose jurisdiction is space.
But I think that's already decided.
That's already decided, and we talked about
already have agreement.
Correct, and it seems like that's stuff we should discuss on our show called Weird Things.
Whether or not it is decided, this brings it into a real context. Like it has been hypothetical. I don't know the history of space crime. I am not a space criminologist. But I will say that there is an interesting the newsworthy element to me is, okay, let's understand what these claims are and then say, well, what courts would it run through? Because like that is the tantalizing bait that this divorce attorney is hanging out there. So what I would like to do from this point is say, okay, you are right, Andrew. The divorce cases are messy. They are personal, and very oftentimes divorce attorneys are there to create maximum pain so you can extract a maximum settlement, specifically when things like kids are on the line. But we can talk going forward on like, well, what this is, and you're right, it is spurious, but that means that literally anything else is going to be more lawless. That means anything else is going to be something that where there is a little bit more cut and dry. No, there was a leveraging that specifically mattered that they were in space that went forward. Like the first law broken on the Western Front was probably something stupid. It wasn't murder. It wasn't blackmail. It wasn't anything that we think of as a crazy crime. And I think that is something where, as spurious as this is, and all apologies to the people that are involved because we only have one side of the story right now, but it is something that made it into the zeitgeist for a reason.
Oh, it's the reason I brought it up here. I brought the story up because it was making the rounds. My point was like trying to put in the context of like, it's a civil case, and you read the headlines, you would think the FBI or whatever, like, no, this is a claim made by a defense attorney. His goal was, let me make her life hell right now so we can get, concessions. And then everybody just leaped on board without going, oh, wait, okay, interesting, but it's civil case. Everybody's like, space crime. I'm like, well, no, we don't. It's a claim. And that's my frustration was just that our enthusiasm for that scene, as you've seen headlines around the world, was just like, Well, this is not an FBI case. This is not a criminal case. This is a claim in a divorce court. Which, my God, like those are outrageous. You know,
Man, I don't even see that at all. Like to
you
me,
don't see her as a person. That's the problem. She's not a person to you.
judgment much. Like to me, the whole thing
I'm sorry,
is
what was that?
like the more people talking about space crimes, the more people catching up with the Weird Things podcast.
Well, let space crimes.
The happier I am. More people should be talking about more weird things. I don't see anything not great about people talking about space crime. I think we should.
If it were a criminal matter, I'd be different, but it's not. And like, she's a real person. She's a real person.
Yes.
You know?
So were the ladies who got visited by goblins in the middle of the night that we talk about on this podcast.
Name one. Name one, Brian. Name one of them.
Okay.
Go ahead. Waiting.
Sorry, Perry Mason. Like,
That's my point. My point is, it's like this is a person that is now going to live with these headlines, although it came from this, which it's the world we live in. But I'm like, I don't have to be like eager to watch somebody's name now get this Google sort of smear kind of thing. You know, like I think, you know, we there's due process when it comes to court, and then the public, we can be like, all right, that's curious, but
So what were the elements that you believe, Andrew, that made this to be something that got into the zeitgeist?
Well, I mean, it's just you in a divorce proceeding, you read the claim, and you know the claim is that like it's first like, oh, she hacked into an account from space. Like it sounds like, man, that sounds amazing. And then you find out, well, it may have been a joint account, may have been an account that both had access to, and really what it came down to is that, you know, the other woman's attorney saying, and again, I don't know either party, and I do not want to say who's right or who's wrong in this proceeding or whatever. I have no knowledge of that. I'm just saying that when these things are pulled out and put in front of us and we get one thing out of context, it's not enough to go on.
Sure. But this didn't make it into the public zeitgeist because it was a divorce complaint.
No, because
it's in space.
The other attorney said, hey, I'm going to issue a thing and talk about the fact that this happened in something happened in space, and I can say that, and that will get, my presumption is that will get the attention and will have the effect that he wants, is to go nasty. My assumption there, and my feel bad.
But it's because it's in space, I guess, is my
exactly because he knew the excitement over that, and people wouldn't read past the headlines. They'd hear, you know, space crime.
Well, this is Bryce and I actually talked about this on his podcast, Trending Lemon, on over the weekend when this first broke. And my point was like, this story is the reason why eventually Fast and the Furious will go to space.
Right.
Because at the end, when you're done with all ideas, right? When you've jumped off all the cliffs on Earth, you've added all the ex-wrestlers that you can to the franchise. You've blown up everything you can blow up. You've driven every car. There's only one place to go, and that is into the stars, into space. That you can dress up anything in space, and it is now interesting, at least enough to catch your attention immediately. And that is, if we are to understand that there are real people involved and even talking about it, I think that's what you're getting to, Andrew, is that even discussing it, or specifically discussing it in a world where we are minimizing the fact that real people are involved, we are furthering the smear.
No. I brought it up. I'd be hypocritical for me to say, everybody, don't talk about the story that I'm about to. No. I'm like, my frustration, I'm bringing it up because I'm like, hey, listen, there's this thing I've been getting these emails from people like, oh, crime in space. I'm like, no, claim and divorce hearing, you know, made about thing in space, and there's a difference.
In space will always be the part of that sentence in all caps, right?
Of course, and we, you know, so of course I just feel bad, you know. It's like, you know, I just feel bad when somebody, like, if it's criminal and things like that, but when we live in an age where, you know, we have people close to us, bad stuff's happened. We don't talk about it because we don't want to embarrass them. You know, when they're close to us, we don't do that. You know, allegations and things like that made about people we work with, or podcasters or other people, but we don't talk about that stuff when it's somebody we know. You know, it becomes criminal. We had dealt with that in iTricks all the time. It was like, hey, this magician's accused of this or whatever. And like, man, what do we cover? What are rules for that? You know, and our policy was we would cover it on iTricks when it became a criminal matter.
Yeah.
You know.
Although nobody ever did anything in space. We'd probably cover it if it were in space.
Yeah, we talk about. I mean, there's been like the postal sheets coverage, that thing like that. There's a lot of history of stuff there that's like legit, maybe criminal sort of stuff, kind of stuff. But
It's so fascinating to me because it sounds to me that the thesis you've expressed so far is if it was a murder, then it's fair game and good to talk about. Whereas that to me is something I don't want to talk about because that's truly ghoulish. This is people fussing in space.
No.
We could talk about. We
But
could
it's not
talk
all I'm
about
saying.
legal precedent. We could talk about jurisdiction. There's so many, like, this is about as perfect a test case as I can imagine,
But
where it's an ongoing civil thing. There is no truly wronged party at this point.
It's ugly, but
Right,
yeah.
it's ugly but harmless, and to me, that's the perfect thing to get
How is
excited
it
about
harm-
and have conversations about everything.
let me clarify. I'm not saying murder. No, Brian, if all of a sudden the FBI says yes, there is a case, and we find out the FBI has opened it up into it, somebody other than a divorce attorney is taking this thing seriously, then I'd be like, oh yeah, no, that's like, if it gets picked, it could be picked up by the FBI. I'd be like, well, that's a real issue. But I'm saying is like, I've had multiple friends go through divorce stuff and like accused of far worse that was totally nonsense. We can discuss whatever we want, and I'm not saying, well, my threshold is murder. No, I'm saying is let's make our threshold for smearing somebody something other than what the opposing defense attorney or divorce attorney says. That's my claim.
That
I mean,
want
that's it.
to understand that there's a real person behind this.
And look at that through that lens and understand that we're hearing about this because the other attorney is trying to do this.
No, we're hearing about it because of the word space.
Well, that's why people are repeating it. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean that is it. Because again, like this is not dog bites man, it's dog looks at man. This happens all the time. As we speak right now, thousands of divorce claims are in process around the country, and they contain things that are probably harsher than what is happening now, more personal, venomous attacks between former partners that have a lot at stake or a little at stake, right? The only reason why this is being talked about is because it happened on the International Space Station. That is allegedly. Because whatever happened wherever, whatever website was accessed, it happened in space, and that has now become the topic du jour.
So there you get our hot take on this, everybody.
There we go.
I wish we had talked about this.
The space part more?
Yeah, right. I mean, but whatever.
Patreon.com/Weird Things is where you can support the show, by the way, whether you are on the International Space Station or not. Although if you do support us on the International Space Station, please let us know.
Please tell us.
So we can please promote that we are the
Crowdfunding
first
in space!
Patreon
In
supported in space. Go ahead and not only make sure that we continue to do this show each and every week, but also you get the After Things podcast earlier than anybody else. Head on over there right now. That is patreon.com/Weird Things.
So right now I'm checking the Twitter because we're looking for updates. SpaceX is looking to do a test of the Starhopper. We've talked about the Starhopper before. That is the platform that has a bunch of their new Raptor methane-powered engines, which will be the basis for the next generation rocket they're building, the Starship. And Starhopper is really, really, really huge, and they're going to try to do a 150-meter test hop, or I've heard different accounts of how high they're supposed to go. But they're maybe Monday, today, possibly the next 40 minutes or so. They apparently the sheriff's department, as part of when they do these tests, goes around door to door and hands out people little notices and says, hey, folks. Oh, this is actually Boca Chica, Texas. Sorry, yeah. So it tells people like, hey, go outside. Don't stay inside, because if you're inside and this goes off and the rocket goes boom, it'll blow in your windows and broken pieces of glass will hit you, and that will suck. So stand outside.
Wow. I never even thought of it like that. Like that it's more just like, hey, if a sonic boom happens, all your windows are going to be shattered.
Yeah. This, whatever coverage there'll be, it won't be like an official SpaceX feed. It'll be some bootleg thing, or
Yeah, it's hazy. Like Musk said, hey, we're looking to do the test today, but I know there's nothing on the main SpaceX site. So a guy who really follows this a lot is Tim Dodd. He's the Everyday Astronaut on Twitter. It's Day Astronaut. And he's super, super active and does a great job of covering this stuff. And, so he's totally worth following about this. And Scott Manley, he Tim's to go to there in person to go see this stuff. And then Scott Manley his science breakdowns on his engineering and physics breakdown of stuff is fantastic. Scott Manley is like just really worth following.
So the Starhopper at this size is meant to basically test the ability for the final stage of Starship, like the big bullet top, that to see if it can land on its own.
Well, yeah, I mean, to test the engines themselves, like it would be in theory, the upper stage would be, it's sort of like using a smaller, the minimum number of engines I think the upper stage would use to land that, but also test the engines in general, because the launch of these engines will take place at atmospheric levels where the upper stage would be launching, when it's at a higher altitude. So I think it's primarily just kind of an overall engine test, but they do plan on building they're building also right now, if we've shown photos before of the upper stage, which they will apparently test that by itself. Like you pointed out, that would be like amazing to see that thing take off. So,
so how close to, I guess this is all just the engine parts and not the rest of, because it's shorter and more squat than you picture the top of the Starship looking.
Well, Brian, it tries, it's very tough.
but I mean the
heard of that before.
But this is the complete engine configuration just without the stuff up top, right?
Yeah, there will be more engines, and we've looked at some of the other photos, you can actually see the parts, the nose cone, because what they're doing is they have the place in Florida and the one in Texas. And at the same time, they have two different teams building the upper stage, they're trying different techniques. I guess that was the idea of let's have a team A and a team B. And team A says, we want to do this. Team B says, we want to try that. And Elon's like, go ahead. So you can see the nose cones and other things. They've got that big giant tent they're putting in, and they're building the upper stages and stuff. And actually, Elon has said that, they think if this thing works out, we may be months away, not years, but months away from seeing that we're looking at the bullet shaped, the Starship, from seeing that launch.
Wow.
Man, that's amazing.
It's Elon time.
The idea that before my daughter can get her license, we would have that. That's amazing.
Brian, maybe she'd get a space license.
Yes, indeed.
Yeah. Can I dual apply to Space Wield?
I mean, it's just an exciting development. There was kind of a really golden age, not just a space exploration of man, in space in the 60s and stuff, but also doing really weird, crazy stuff in space. And one of my favorite things was Starfish Prime.
What's Starfish Prime?
Starfish Prime, just sounds awesome. I mean, it was a project, it was a military operation. It was like, let's blow up a nuclear bomb in space and see what happens.
What happened?
Well,
holy
you had
crap.
A explosion in space, and they noticed some electrical systems started to malfunction, and they're like, hey, you know what? If you blow up a nuclear bomb, at the right altitude in space, it might, destroy electronics and stuff. And that's where we realized that it was 1962 high altitude nuclear test. And that's when they said 250 miles up, they're like, oh, the whole idea of using nukes for an EMP, to take out electronics, that was one of the things that came from Starfish Prime. They didn't realize this was a consequence of that. They're like, oh, wow, now we have a new way to, F things up.
This was the plot of 1 Minute After, a story in which a small town just suddenly all the electronics stop except for a few older or hardened devices, and how at first everybody's like, oh, power's out, let's have a cookout. And then very quickly it escalates, and by the end you have cannibalism and tribal warfare and teenagers killing other teenagers.
Oh my God.
Until finally the Chinese show up because they realized, we could roll in and, quote, provide aid and just sort of sweep over the country.
1962, this is the height of the Cold War. Kennedy, I guess, has already made the moonshot declaration. but we're not far away from the Cuban Missile Crisis. Like this is heady days for military technology.
This footage that we're seeing, if you search for Operation Dominic 1 and 2 Starfish Prime, it's fairly extraordinary footage.
Oh.
That's crazy.
So another cool space experiment. There was I forgot the date. So who wants to be a pilot? Raise your hand.
Not me.
Not me. Count me out.
Also
So Bryce has to be the pilot. Bryce has to be the
sorry.
pilot. Pilot Bryce.
Everyone got their fingers on their noses before I did.
I get to be entertainment director. I call dibs.
First class. I'm in first class.
I'm booking Andrew Main as our entertainment for this journey.
All I heard was Brian spoke up first, I think, so Brian's going to be our pilot. Brian?
Oh,
shut.
You didn't
Things
know
got
the rules.
contentious over our space crime segment, so I'm going to make up for you, okay?
Okay, all right, good.
You get to be the pilot.
All right, fine.
This is why you listen to podcasts called Weird Things, because, we don't have space elevators.
That's right.
Although I think they're in the movie Ad Astra, so that could be making a comeback. But, Brian,
Yes.
got a mission for you.
Oh, good, because I was just thinking about how I needed to make some money because I spent all my money on this spaceship and my
Right.
pilot's
You're-
license.
Well, you're an Air Force pilot, Brian. Why are you spending your money on spaceships? We give you stuff to fly.
Because the Millennium Falcon looks great in my living room. That's why. Don't judge me. You and my mom, I swear.
God damn, you have a big living
Well, it's
room.
1985, and so that's cool. You got on that fast to go build this.
That's right. I wish there was an internet that I could tweet about this. Maybe it'll be invented someday.
Well, actually, Brian, we have the internet. We don't have the World Wide Web. So.
Oh my God, Professor Pedantic, what are you doing here?
General pedantic to you.
Oh, so I'm sorry. This has been a lot of fun, but as a pilot, I'm sure I have a mission to go on because I fly planes? ?
Yes. You do fly the airplanes.
That's right. I do.
So we got a thing we want you to try. Like, how's your aim?
Oh, dude, it's the best. What, you want something pointed at a thing? You come to me. They call me the pointer.
Not a single drop on the rim of the bowl. And
call-
I've checked. I go in right afterward.
They call me the Pointer Sisters.
So what I want you to do, we've got a target. We got a thing we need you to take down.
Oh, good. I hate things that are hanging up.
Yeah. So can you shoot this for us? We can shoot it.
Yeah, absolutely. 100%. I mean, unless
Good.
it's a child or a dog. But even then, that's negotiable.
As long as it's in space, then he's cool with it.
I am in the military after all.
What's your call sign, by the way?
I
know it. I just want you to say it.
Old Hamburger.
Yeah. Well, I'll just call you
Copy
Big
old
Sheep.
hamburger.
This is Old Hamburger. Let's spray some mayo and flame broil this chicklet.
Old hamburger, we need you to scramble.
I'm scrambling these eggs. Am I right?
So, Old Hamburger, we got
We're
a
having
target.
fun up there.
Oh my
We got a target for you.
Yep.
It's in space.
Hold on. Let me check my manual here in the old glove box. Open up. Boop, 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 boop. Yeah, says here that airplanes don't fly in space. I mean, I can get close. I can shoot the middle finger at it if that'll do something for you. But Old Hamburger, he don't fly into space.
Well, we've got this solar observatory here, Solwyn P78-1. It's no -2, let me tell you that. We want you to take it out. We got to get rid of it. It's kind of in a funky orbit. We don't need it anymore, and we just thought it'd be kind of fun to have you just shoot it down.
All right, listen.
Hop your F-15 and go shoot it down.
I ain't no rocket scientist, but it seems to me like maybe the best we could hope for is I could fly up to the very top of the stratosphere and then fire a rocket. Maybe the rocket would hit it. You sure you don't got no laser or nothing? Hey, what's up?
Old hamburger.
Yes.
I was sent by the Pentagon to let you know that.
Oh, little Jimmy.
I'm just so little. My name is Jimmy, and man, am I so excited to be a part of this.
Oh man, what's
I was
up?
just told by the boys upstairs that solar station
Yeah.
full of candy like a piñata.
Oh my God! All right, well, I'll give it my best. I'll try to bring you back.
If you can bring down this solar station, well, boy, there'd be gumdrops and lemon drops and Jolly Ranchers
Yep,
and
and I'll collect
Tootsie
them all.
Rolls
I'll
falling into children around the world. You'd be a hero. Anyway, I'm gonna go get back on my crutches and
Well,
live
actually,
out of the
Jimmy,
sea.
we're up in the atmosphere, and there wouldn't be anything left for people.
Yeah. Also, even if it
I've
was
already
filled-
left, so doesn't matter. Let little Jimmy
If
live.
you put them in asbestos, they might survive, so you can give the children asbestos candy.
Also, I yell at Jimmy. Like, also, even if it was full of candy, I'd only give you the Smarties.
Screw you, hamburger. Little Jimmy mutters under his breath.
Old hamburger.
I'll
Yeah.
be the new hamburger.
Well, all right. So let's fly up. So is this hey, just so I know what I'm looking for? Is this one of them like a hot air balloon, them silver hot air balloons at the top of the space, or is this a real satellite?
This is real satellite. It's real satellite. Real satellite orbiting the real Earth.
I mean, is there any lasers on my aircraft? Let me look around. I mean, is there? Because otherwise, I don't see how.
Just
my
talking about
airplanes-
bullets?
Well,
Maybe a
all right.
missile?
You think a bullet? You think a bullet? Well, hold on. I forgot. It's Goose. Hey, Goose.
Sup?
We have
What's up, brah?
we have a mission. We got to get in our plane and shoot down a satellite.
I mean, you got any
Solo
bullets?
mission.
Solo. Okay, look.
Too
You'll be there in
risky.
spirit.
Too dangerous. We can't lose Goose.
Well, I mean, because I'm already dead.
That's right. That's right. I forgot you're.
I'm a
figment-
goose ghost.
Yeah, I forgot the goose ghost is a figment of my imagination.
Yeah, don't worry, man.
I keep around for self-reflective purposes. So, what do you think, Goose Ghost?
I mean, what? Bullets should work.
Well, actually, in this timeline, Goose was still alive.
Yeah, but Goose Ghost.
No. I'm old goose.
Yeah, right.
Just like old hamburger. I'm old goose.
Exactly.
I died back in, back yonder. And now I'm just a figment of old hamburger's imagination.
All right. So what? Like, you think bullets? You think bullets?
You
Or
know,
not rockets.
They seem to do the job. I light a ghost cigarette.
You're a ghost?
Yeah.
I'm old goose.
Oh, God, I'm sorry. I thought you said goose.
He's
I'm old goose.
The ghost is old Goose Ghost.
Woo!
Okay. Also, who are you?
I'm even tinier, Tim.
You're tinier Jimmy. Littler Jimmy.
Littlest Jim. All right, listen. Why don't you have a conversation? You join me and old Goose Ghost. We're gonna old hamburger this right to the flame blowing, broiling skies.
So number one,
Have it your way.
I'm a spirit. I'm an apparition, and he's literally 2.5 feet tall.
Yes, that's
because
correct.
little Jimmy was maybe 5 foot, and he's markedly shorter.
That's right. That's
so
right. Of
you're
course-
going alone.
Yeah, I'm the solo pilot. The thing is,
Bullets, yes.
Okay, look. I figure maybe with lasers, but it doesn't sound like we got lasers. Maybe bullets. We got a lot of them, but I don't know if they'll bust into. Oh, they don't have to go into orbit. I just realized they just have to hit a satellite.
Yeah,
You think we can hit a satellite?
maybe. Old Goose uses a penknife to break open a ghost beer.
Oh, Goose Ghost.
Can I have one?
No.
Yeah.
How
dude.
do you see me? I'm supposed to be in his head.
I have
Also-
tiny vision.
Also, don't tell your mother.
vision.
And then I hand over the beer.
All right, well, let's settle the rockets versus bullets thing first, as far as what you want to use.
I think this.
Old hamburger. I'm sure you like 4th of July, right?
Yeah, man. I love it.
What? You probably fire your gun on 4th of July.
Yeah, straight up into the air.
Okay?
You know, like a real man. Old,
I used to.
I was Goose starts doing push-ups.
I was gonna attach it to my drone, but then some fuddy duddy handed me a pamphlet saying, "Don't do that."
Startling
1985.
foreshadowing. Old Goose says to no one in
Harry.
particular.
What do you think? What are your chances of hitting something in the air with your gun?
I mean, not very good because I can't imagine. I mean, what do you shoot a bullet at a 45-degree angle? What's it gonna go? Maybe a mile, and it's like the atmosphere is more than a mile up. But then again, if you shoot a gun like at the top of the atmosphere, there's less atmosphere, less drag. Oh, shoot. I think I can fire a bullet.
I mean, you might be able to shoot the sun.
Might as well be shooting on the sun.
Dude,
I'm like,
hold on, let me get a pen. I hope my son, Johnny Smashmouth, loves this lyric I'm writing for him.
You're still going to be dealing with, gravity, even 50, 60,000 feet up, even at the upper range of your F-15.
I mean, I agree. We're all dealing with gravity. every
All
day.
right, so maybe bullets just ain't for this mission.
So it's got to be a rocket, right? We got a rocket.
Sounds like a great idea.
I'm still on that laser
expendable
thing.
man here.
Has lasers been developed? It's 85. Pretty sure lasers exist.
You have lasers. Here's the problem with lasers for this. You're shooting a satellite which is moving 20,000 miles an hour.
Yeah.
Your airplane going 2,000 miles an hour.
So it's just going to be zooming past, and then I got to figure out, man, there ain't no computer to take over the
Besides,
targeting.
You know,
I got to use the force. That's what I got to do.
Lasers a little, dainty. You need a rocket.
I'm sorry, Goose Ghost. I
I'm
don't
an
understand.
old goose ghost.
Wait, what you got against lasers?
I'm just saying.
I mean, wait, all right.
Oh, I'm just saying, when John Wayne was making his way into the saloon trying to settle some business,
Yeah.
we pull out a little laser.
I mean, he would in RoboCop. T.J. Laser was the space show.
Old Goose slaps you across with a startling force that goes right through your head because he's a ghost.
Oh, then I briefly see the face of God when the spectral hand passes through my grizzled cheeks.
The point is, a rocket's the way to go.
All right.
Anyway, I'm back to go beat Socrates in chess.
Oh, Goose Ghost.
So, which side on a rocket, side of that, tell you what, we're going to have another airplane that's going to have like radar and stuff that's going to help you figure out your targeting and help you figure out when to fire.
I mean, that seems like it could work. Do we just fire one rocket or a whole bunch of them?
What we'll do is we'll deploy a rocket with a special warhead that basically has a little targeting system in it and multiple charges. So when it gets up close, it'll blow up. And basically, you just want to put it in the path or close to the rocket, the satellite.
So this would be a bit like a flak cannon, right? Like we're gonna have it go up, explode, throw shrapnel all around, and just like we just need to tear up the satellite enough that it loses momentum and falls to Earth, right?
It just splits it apart. I mean, it won't necessarily fall to Earth right away. It'll just sort of become a bunch of shards, which we know totally won't be a problem in space of having a bunch of tiny
Speaking
fragments.
of, I'm
in a
so
big
glad
cloud.
you brought that up. I got this script. I'm going to shop it around Hollywood. My buddy Alfonso says that there's something here.
No potential problem for that at all. So long story short, back in 1985, we had the Star Wars project, which was the whole initiative to see about, space technology, space weapons, stuff like this. The Air Force is like, I wonder if we could shoot down a satellite. And they got an F-15 pilot, put a rocket on the F-15. They used a targeting airplane to do this, and they picked this satellite and this weather solar observatory platform, whatever it was, and decided they're going to shoot it down. Although some people said, "Hey, we're still using that." And guess what? Success.
That's
Wow.
amazing. That's amazing.
And this was testing out like an infrared rocket. Is that right, Andrew? There was
Yeah,
some
it had
technology on there.
So some kind of self-guiding technology where even up there in space, it was able to just guide and
well, what it did was it had to the rocket was going nowhere near as fast as the satellite. So this was a timing thing. It had to be able to be in the path by the time the satellite showed up. And so Scott Manley did a whole video on this whole thing. And it's fascinating. It's absolutely fascinating. It goes into, what the background of the rocket, what was on it, the payload, all, and you start understanding how complicated of a problem it is.
Yeah, well, because it just you have to fire up and just be in the right place at the right time to just get bonked, run over by a satellite. That's amazing. So, whatever happened to old Goose Ghost?
Oh no, Goose Ghost beat Goose Ghost beat Socrates in checkers.
Little Jimmy, even littler Jimmy, is now the
Fortune
president.
500 CEO
yeah.
of Jimmy John's.
Old Hamburger went to sleep and never woke up.
Knowing that he did a job well done. And General Pedantic, well, he's correcting people to this very day.
So this video, Scott Manley, the title is "The Only Pilot to Shoot Down a Spacecraft."
That
And it
is awesome.
Yeah. And again, it's a really, like I said, Manley's ability to like explain stuff and things like this, is wonder. He's one of these people that I learn a lot from by, watching this guy's videos.
This is public knowledge, non-classified, not top secret. Do we think this has ever happened in a non-disclosed way?
The challenge of doing things, as we've realized in space, it becomes very public. And there have been satellite malfunctions and stuff that were suspicious or things like that, where we think that people may have been testing things or things like that. But as far as the actual, it would be hard to have like something, we're following what's going up there all the time. Every intelligence agency, major one in the world is monitoring satellites and stuff, looking to see for these kinds of stuff. So, but wouldn't be sure. We've done weird stuff, things like that. We've had, weird, our own satellites change orbits in suspicious ways, which imply they have other systems involved. And so.
Would a laser, is it possible to have a ground to space laser that would do enough to maybe not destroy a satellite, but maybe like blast out its optical components or damage its like, you almost certainly superpowers have those, right?
I think there have been tests of using ground-based stuff to hit, and you can certainly, we can bounce light off of, satellites with lasers and stuff. You have to correct for, atmospheric distortions and things like that, but sufficiently enough power, sure.
That's crazy.
Yeah. The question is the energy that it would take to do that better to do, and ground-based is still affected by weather versus putting space-based and using, a kinetic, chemical thing, whatever, these are questions that, there's billion-dollar industries, of military tech trying to figure this out. So Bryce has already found the Navy's laser weapon.
Wow.
That thing looks like a beast.
Yeah. Yeah, kind of incredible. So, yeah, cool.
Jeez.
It's scary.
Yeah, dude, it's zapping drones in the sky. Wow.
It's got target tracking, and it seems like it's quick too. The thing that I thought about laser technology, laser weapons, was that they were that they kind of took a second.
Yeah.
They weren't as an immediate thing. But looking at this, and this is a big laser attached to a battleship.
He's using an Xbox controller.
Yeah.
But this is very quick.
That's crazy.
Wow.
Yeah, the question kind of comes down to is it's how much energy can you put through it, how quickly, and we live in a new age of battery technologies, and that's increasing. There were tests of using there's things called like chemical lasers, like there are ways to use actual chemical explosions to stimulate like a laser beam. There are a lot of different stuff like nuclear laser, a lot of different things. Like how do we get enough energy in there quickly to sort of do this? But when you look at these things like, big ass battery pack and some capacitors, and if we get super capacitors, that's going to, open up a lot of possibility.
Supercapacitor is defined by what? Like, I assume it stores an awful lot of energy, but what makes it super?
It's basically, capacitors can release a lot of energy very fast, and supercapacitors expand that tremendously and have, can be reused over and over again. And so that it'd be precisely that. It can release a ton of energy all at once without damaging the battery pack or whatever that's doing. So, that's the big problem. It's like when I charge my Tesla, if I grab that cable, it's warm. It's really warm.
Yeah.
And that big part of like electric car when they charge, they have cooling systems. They're going through their water and whatever to try to cool the thing down to keep it from overheating. Because when that charge goes in or out, when you move that many electrons really, really fast, it generates a lot of heat and it can be damaging. So, cool.
Damn.
Let's do picks.
Hey, man, I got a pick.
Go.
It's a little HBO original called The Righteous Gemstones. Directed, written by Danny McBride. It's got John Goodman in there. It's got the love interest from Isn't It Romantic as another of the siblings. It's great. I watched it twice, and I enjoyed the first episode quite a bit, and look forward to watching the second episode next.
Let's get that dude's name because he's actually famous.
Yeah.
The dude from Workaholics.
And the elevator pitch on this show is
Folks run a mega church that used to that was born out of a TV ministry, and John Goodman. I mean, the archetypes are he's the patriarch who is missing his deceased wife. Oldest is the entitled pastor who is getting ready to
Being groomed
to
to
take
assume,
everything over.
But it's like we are talking about Saudi Arabia level wealth opulence.
Right.
Like they all live in like what is effectively their own small town.
Younger brother fairly clearly, as of the first episode, has indicated that, probably closeted gay, and the sister is the hardest working of the entire bunch and doesn't get acknowledged at all. You might think like, oh, what an insane power struggle between different characters. It escalates very quickly when all of a sudden you get a Coen Brothers type of plot, including an extortion scheme that goes awry.
I mean, yeah. I think if you are interested in televangelism or mega churches or the familial dynamics that would go into something, a family that has 3 private planes called the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit, then you will enjoy it. Also, it's like, look, if you liked Eastbound and Down, you liked Vice Principals, this is not a co-thing like those two were with Jody Hill and Danny McBride. This is Danny McBride with Jody Hill as an executive.
Adam Devine, that's his name.
Adam
There
Devine,
it is.
yeah, but he's great. He is the youngest son, so it is certainly an all-star cast. Like there's nobody in that cast that is not probably like the funniest person if they were in their own thing. So
Yeah.
it's all-star.
nice.
So, question about that though,
Yeah.
and what we brought up before was you'd point out there's not been a lot of comedy stuff around churches,
Yeah.
and
specifically the televangelist world that obviously had its heyday in the 80s and certainly provided no shortage of characters. Like we saw bubble up, the Tammy Faye Bakers and the Jim Bakers and everything. Certainly we've seen con men, out and out con men take advantage of those kind of ministries. And what we've seen since then is the world of the megachurch, of people, some more legit than others, really spin this up into a gigantic industry, and that's what this is about. This is about the hardened world that began in this go-go world of the 80s, and now there are a few mega franchises. And what we are to believe is that the Gemstones are kind of the McDonald's of that. They are the TD Jakes or who's the other dude in Houston?
Olstein.
Olstein. Yeah, Joe Olstein, like
Austin.
But it's like it's that kind of world, but then with a little bit more of that 80s flim-flammery to it. So I can understand. I would assume that we haven't seen a lot of stuff in this world because obviously whenever you're entering into the world of faith, you're dividing your audience by whatever amount.
And to be clear, this is not a indictment of their authenticity. It's much more of just well-meaning humans.
I mean, but that's the thing is that no matter how much we might read into it and say, well, this is not an anti-Christian thing. I can understand people whenever you're dealing with, folks, this kind of world. I could see where a network would look at it and be like, oh my God, funniest thing ever. This would be the best show ever. Oh, geez, this is so great. We could never do it. It would cause too much controversy and it would split the audience. And we don't necessarily want to pick that fight because this is a show that goes there. Like all the elements that you would expect from those like scandals in the 80s, they're all there.
Right,
They are
right.
all played for the same kind of laughs that you would expect from the guys who brought you Eastbound and Down.
Cool.
I got a pick. New hot pick for that no one's ever heard. I finished The Boys.
Really did
Oh, I saw that, but why didn't you tweet it out? Is it because Twitter wasn't working on your phone?
Well, I don't have Twitter on my phone.
Oh,
Brian.
I didn't know that. Okay.
But yeah, finished it. The Amazon original, and gotta say, this was a show that I liked more than I thought from the beginning, and finished strong. Finished real strong. Like, I really liked the world. I really liked the characters. The villains that we get continue to become more and more complex with their own issues. I was just a real big fan. I'm excited to see where it goes from here.
Yeah.
And having heard like stuff that they had left out of the comics, I'm suspecting that there are elements of that will be more slowly weaved in to the television version, and that makes me more excited for it.
Nice. I got a pick. I ran off to the movies last night because I just managed to it just happened to be the right time while I was out, and I went and saw Ready or Not.
Oh, I heard this was awesome.
This is
What
this
is
very
this?
good. So this is a new horror thriller about a man and a woman who get married, and the man is a son in this big board game empire, and the night of their wedding, the family makes them play a game, and it turns into this most dangerous game-esque hunt. It's very good. It's very thrilling. Like the trailer kind of gives some of the more obvious things away that it's going to do, but I think it does a really good job of capturing, the tension of being stuck in this big mansion with all these people trying to come after you, and I think it sticks the landing, and that's all I'll say about it.
I'm curious. When that trailer first came out, my girlfriend makes horror movies, by the way, and she's actually got 2 now at different film festivals. So we like break down everything we see when it comes to stuff. And I watched that trailer, and I'm like, this looks so clever. Such a clever premise. Contained big Victorian house, really weird family trying, like the most dangerous game set in a house, look really clever.
Yeah.
Samara Weaving, she's interesting. She was in The Babysitter on Netflix. She looks a lot like Margot Robbie, which might be the kind of thing where it kind of works against you to a degree, but her uncle's Hugo Weaving.
No kidding.
Look at that.
Who
Yeah,
I don't
yeah.
know Hugo Weaving.
Mr.
Agent Smith.
Anderson.
Yeah.
Oh wow, okay, very cool.
Elrond.
She's great in this. She's fantastic in Ready or Not, and I in terms of like squeamishness and gore, it's got a couple of pretty extreme moments, but generally it's not like a huge gore. Like a lot of the gory moments are played for laughs. And they mostly land. I mean, it really it's really an interesting way that they
that was the
handle
biggest thing
death.
that I noticed from the trailer was that it did not feel like a thrills and chill. I mean, as a gore fest or as a like you will not leave the theater because you're so terrified. Like it's more like, oh, here's like a violent premise that's very clever.
Yeah, I mean, I think they play a lot of the violence for laughs, and it works in this very awkward way, right? Like in the theater with all these people, it's like you wanted to laugh, and some people were laughing, but you could tell some people were silent because they didn't know what to do with it, and I think it works really well, and the way that they frame the family as they're not professional killers by any stretch, so that gives it a lot of leeway to to release a lot of the tension in comedy. It's very cool. I think it is worth checking out. Ready or Not.
No, I'm looking forward to it. Great premise, and happy to see that it turned out really well.
Mm-hmm.
Andrew?
Right. Well, okay. I know. My pick is again late to the game here, but What We Do in the Shadows.
The TV
The
show.
TV show.
That's on. It's on
And-
Hulu now, by the way.
Yeah.
If you
Yeah.
are looking to stream it.
And man, I loved the movie, and the spirit of that. You know, Jermaine Clement came in here as big part of this. They brought in Taika Waititi to direct the pilot and directed a couple episodes of it there, but it is so good. The casting is amazing. All the characters, and Matt Berry. What a wonderful find! Watching him. I mean, all of them. Everybody's just top notch, and I don't have a single, like, the weakest episode for me is the one that everybody loved the most, and even still, it's a great episode. I think it's just one of the best written comedies ever.
Yeah.
It's just-
I actually just finished this over the weekend too. It's great. I kind of, I have heard you guys talk about What We Do in the Shadows nonstop for probably 4 months straight now. Not to mention, like, we covered it on Spoiler in Time, so there's more thoughts over there too. But the thing that I think I never got across was it is basically The Office. Like, it's not just a mockumentary, but it is in that
Oeuvre.
Yeah, there's that tone is there, and it's great. I love Guillermo. He's perfect as like the audience sort of surrogate, right?
I do like how they develop Guillermo by the end of the season. They do some clever stuff.
There's and just I don't know, something about we were talking about it beforehand, but yeah, is it any wonder that I really like and relate to Guillermo? But yeah, it's fantastic. I'll co-sign What We Do in the Shadows for you, Andrew.
Well, and that style, after watching shows like Office, both the British and the American and Extras, and now I'm watching Parks and Rec and stuff, like, I always had problems with shows with sitcoms. I mean, with laugh tracks, rather. Like, with laugh tracks, like, there'd be like, oh, you should check out the show. And like 2 minutes in, there's a laugh track. I'm like, I can't watch this. As my girlfriend says, yeah, it's like they're trying to gaslight you into thinking it's funny. And I'm like, yeah. And so, like, that's what I love about a show like this. It just lets you find it and whatever. And, all of, like, I've heard, like, Gervais and others, credit, basically Christopher Guest and, like, Best in Show.
Yeah.
And that was... you go back to the earlier mockumentary he worked on, which was, Spinal Tap, but Best in Show was such a great comedic sort of that styling, which just went on to influence an entire genre.
Mm-hmm. And I like that, What We Do in the Shadows is 2019. It doesn't have the Modern Family problem of, like, really liking the way you can write a mockumentary style show, but forgetting to actually justify it. Like The Office, by the end of The Office, you actually get parts of the documentary, and so What We Do in the Shadow, like, works in, like, oh yeah, there are camera people following, and this is an actual documentary, which is it's good to see it.
They do have the perfect MacGuffin to excuse it because they're vampires, and they go, you don't see the cameras, and then it's like, great, we're all set.
Yeah. Or even like they work really hard to keep the conceit going. There's an episode where they're trying to rescue one of the vampires who's been captured as a bat at an animal control facility, and
they have to try to break in, and it takes way too many of them to do.
But it's like there's a moment where there's a vehicle, right? And so it's like you have to justify why the camera's in the passenger seat of the vehicle with somebody who's not one of our main characters, so they can then look behind and see our main characters trying to break into the vehicle. But it's like they take the care to just have, like, that one moment where now the driver just thinks that she's the star of the mockumentary, and she's, like, explaining her drive just so you can get that thing, which I love. Like, because I know it's irrational, but it bothers me on some of the stylistic children of The Office when it's like, okay, we're just cutting away to these, like, real world reality style confessional moments when it's not really a thing. Like, it's not like there is no documentary that's happening.
Right.
But I love the fact that they cared to continue to maintain that universe.
Yeah. That was frustrating about, like, the last season of The Office, was all of a sudden they made it an element, but it was like the logic was so inconsistent, because, like, there's a moment they're like, where, like, Pam is like, wait, you what about when we turn, because they have like they you find out, they realize that they turn off their mics when they don't want to be heard. Like, what about we turned our mics off? You got that too? Like, oh, we used a parabolic. Like, you're like, they have this weird torturous sort of thing, and it's like, just go with the universe you built and stick to it, and don't, where I think what we do in the shadows just sort of makes it work from the get-go.
Yeah.
I was thinking of when the Baron showed up and sees the documentary crew.
Yeah. Who are them?
Doug Jones is amazing.
There's an escape from a prison environment, and then after they've escaped, there's this casual like, oh, also we left the crew down in there. You may want to go get your cameraman.
So anyhow, it's great. It's been weird.
There you go.
I've got a live stream right now. Everyday Astronaut, his YouTube is, there you go. Man, Bryce, you're freaking amazing.
Yeah.
Do we want to make this our After Things experience?
We
could sort of live cover it.
That'd be our luck.
Yeah, I got to use the
But
restroom.
yeah,
All right, go for it.
They're about 60 minutes, although we've not actually seen any sign of pressure yet or fuel up. So.
And I was going to make a joke about
Nathan,
it just
thank you very
exploding, but then that's almost exactly what actually
All
happened
right.
with the crew capsule.
Greetings
was it was
from
just
Cologne
there,
from
and then it was
Germany
everywhere.
here. Hello.
Oh, also,
Tilger
I got
Benny. I'll just say Benny. I have no idea how to say that.
Awesome. So we are watching Everyday Astronauts
man.
live stream of the SpaceX Starhopper, which will be testing a 150-meter hop.
Corey confirmed for tomorrow.
I
Cool.
hope the audio.
Oh, okay,
is
cool.
good, guys.
Yeah.
Oh, great.
So that'll be great.
That'll be fun.
Yeah, and then I have a couple more. Bernie Burns sends his regrets. He was very flattered to be invited, but he had a
Thank
baby
you guys for all
yesterday.
tuning
I know, right?
Whatever.
As if that's an excuse.
in.
At this time of the year?
yeah.
In this economy? Okay.
In this economy.
Well, that's great. I did not know that.
Who would have thought I could get sick of talking?
And then I am waiting to hear back from Cargill and Ernie.
Sweet.
But Corey's in?
Corey's in.
Corey's in. Martin says it
Click
depends
play.
on time, so I just let him know.
Yeah.
I mean, the fact that there's even a shot with them means that at least there's not.
There are a lot
Yeah.
of skunks out here that might get spooked, and I might end up, we might end up being kind of stinky. here.
God, what we do in the shadows is so good.
very
Now
good.
you've got me wanting to go back and watch it all again.
That's what's so annoying is that like, that's in the covenant.
Oh, I know. Oh,
It's
so
in
you
the-
can't.
Yeah, guys.
I got in
Yeah.
trouble today. Bonnie was just like, I was showing her the beginning of the Righteous Gemstones, and she was just like, so I guess this is another one you just watch without me.
Aw,
and Ty, and I'm just like, ah.
That's your fault.
I know.
It's your
but,
fault for showing it.
But yes,
You can get away with it if you're doing it on the low.
I know. But I wanted her to get caught up and have it be a thing we could watch together.
Oh, Dead Polymers reminds me. So season 3 of Glow just came out, and it's like them where they go to Vegas and
Yeah.
they're doing the Vegas show.
Still based in reality at this point, or is it wandered off from it?
Yes.
No, this is actually like this was like
exactly.
it happened actually earlier in the process, but they almost immediately went to Vegas, and that's like the television product that we know
Was the
was
one
almost totally
we're in
from
that
Vegas.
era? Yeah.
But the beginning of that season is great. It's like them like about to open the show. They're on local TV. They're doing some like
Oh, internet, you're so predictable.
some live tape, and you see that they're like
To a certain level, I think
doing
the
some
rules
like
should be-
in character commentary
Look at
of
the
the
other
thing that's
comments, and
happening.
It's been said once, don't say it again.
And it's the
I think that's
challenger.
where, like,
Oh Jesus!
And so Zoya's, the Russians will destroy the America, and it's an incredible beginning.
Oh, how
It's
awkward!
So good.
Wow,
Season 3 is very good of that show.
that's amazing.
I highly recommend.
I'm
it.
pumped. I think I actually kind of got semi-spoiled because somebody on the wrestling Reddit did a like in-universe like wrestling rumors like post
man.
about like what happens during that season.
Oh,
so
uh-huh.
I just started reading it because it was just like rumor, like, and then what I assume are spoilers for like the end of the season.
Oh, possibly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so I was like, God damn it, you're so clever, but now I get spoiled on things that are also
what is
kind
the
of
internet?
Probably not even very big deal.
because also I think it's true to
What happened, yeah.
So it's like, all right, whatever.
Yeah, I mean, so much of that show is
I see it's
based on the character
Mackenzie
stuff,
with-
like all the Genjigo and stuff. It's very
Yeah.
character driven, so you can know how it goes. And it's not
Yeah,
good.
I'm not worried.
My frustration with the show is like when they stuck kind of the world of the wrestling thing was great, but when they tried to veer off into 80s topics, at least last season, it felt like cliched. It was like every other 80s gay AIDS story you've seen before with the same resolution and stuff. And
That is, I mean, to the credit of the show Euphoria, that is something that they're really good about, is that they have a lot of characters that would otherwise have very cliched stories, like that are allowed to kind of be characters beyond it, while obviously there are societal elements that kind of motivate things, but it's not like Andrew. I agree. It's like that the AIDS thing is like, okay, like, what are we saying here that hasn't been said in Rent
Right.
or literally anything that came after
I,
that?
I would say my frustration was like the show Silicon or
Halt and Catch Fire.
had the same exact character you like, a reveal, and then this and the close call, but oh no, and it's like, and I've seen that a couple other times where people, it's like, man, you're trying to make that feel safe then, you're still trying to make this, if you want to talk about this topic in a really bold way, then like,
But I unfortunately don't.
Yeah.
Like
have an
there
effect.
were indeed gay people that survived the 80s. Like we think if we search far enough,
Well,
we might be able to
it's
tell a
always-
story.
In the storylines, the main characters, they never do get affected by it. They bring in some ancillary character to
Yes.
find out, oh, it's real for them.
Father.
That's
Yeah.
there.
it's
That's
not
there
real
to
for the
die.
show.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that their life is misery
In Colorado Springs, that's awesome.
and ends in death.
That's so cool. Go Air Force. Stephen
We're watching what
Virgin,
looks like a water tower.
greetings
Yep.
from virtual reality
It does look like a
watching
water
today
tower.
from all
You know
Well,
what
that was the whole thing about the speculation on that. When they first started building it on the Reddit forums, they're going like, what is it? People are like, oh, we think it's because they brought in a company that had expertise in building water towers. Like, oh, it's just a water tower. And there's a famous, within the SpaceX Reddit thing, the guy's like, it's a water tower, adamant about this. And it's funny because now he'll show up and eat crow about that because in his defense, I mean, it's an absurd idea,
Yeah.
I tend to try to be
Did you guys ever play that old Sim City, the old isometric Sim City? This thing looks like the Ark. Do you remember at the very end? It would be like the utopian, like you'd place it. It was like this big ultra building near the end of the game.
No.
It reminds me of that.
cared more about it, I'd probably do a video. But I have to tell you this, like you would not.
Oh, by the way,
believe
Bryce, I
how
got about
insane
halfway through
my list is.
the saddest punt, the hunt for the saddest punt.
Yeah,
Very good.
very very good.
Very
Pretty
good.
Right now,
Pretty
no,
good.
that one might
Is
be
that
Chart
is that
Party.
his new thing? It's pretty good, right? Or 'cause
Uh,
that was
there-
Chart
there's-
Party.
Oh, it's Chart Party. They're simultaneous.
Yeah.
nice and easy. I know everything about
You like
aerospace, right?
UFC,
And
right?
it was totally the Dunning
Sure,
Kruger
yeah.
effect.
Oh, okay.
Once I started
He
learning,
just did like this big
more
5-part
about
Chart Party
aerospace,
with
the more I realized how little
Felix
I knew about
Biederman.
aerospace.
Okay.
About like the history of UFC and like televised fighting.
Awesome.
Now,
Fighting in
over
the age
14
of
or 15
loneliness or something.
languages.
It's interesting.
Quite long.
It's very interesting because
it's
really
another 45 minute
UFC
long
has
video.
only
It's
to
gonna be
this
another Raptor
point
video.
now kind of
I'll tell you what, my
become
opinion on
mainstream almost exclusively because they made the deal with there's the Ark.
about 100 times. Sometimes it's great, sometimes it's
because they made the
terrible.
deal with
But I think it's gonna be a more open
ESPN.
video. I was wondering
And so
if
now
they
they're going to
highlight
just be
fight stuff.
presented next to
But I
next to
think at this point,
football,
they kinda
next to basketball.
not
Yeah.
insert
Huh.
my opinion in the
See,
title.
it looks. It's
It
just
does look
good.
a lot like it,
Huge
yeah.
drawbacks to them that often get overlooked. Thermally, they're backwards. They're
But
backwards. and-
Andrew, the conceit of this video that Bryce sent me is to go through every punt in recorded football history to find the saddest, to find the one that was like done for the least amount of reason, and just showed nothing but cowardice.
or it's multiple
But the way it's edited together is awesome, and it's like a 50-minute.
Yeah, this one's about an hour.
Yeah,
There's
it's like-
some shorter ones, but this one is it's pretty long.
But the way that he does it is this kind of like
this whole
it's
thing, like, for
really
instance,
fun,
JT
really
was
smart,
saying,
and the humor is
aerospace
spot
is
on.
about 15 times harder to keep cool, like thermally.
And it's just fascinating because he does a good job of like explaining kind of the different elements that he's looking at. So like he does the math to look into all of these stats and stuff, but also
Like,
puts it in
at
context.
a certain point, it is like made for math nerds that don't like sports.
Yeah. Yeah.
But it's
So
like
people baseball fans.
basically, yeah. Like they even literally like at the beginning of the video explain the concept of punting.
Yeah.
Like for folks that just don't follow it.
There's another recent. I think it's one of the more recent ones where he just explains football, just like the basic concepts of football, because so many people watch those videos and are not like big.
They're not, yeah.
This is who?
I remember as a kid, I remember just laughing that the referee kept losing his yellow handkerchief.
We're talking about John Boyles.
Yeah, I know him almost exclusively as a Twitter follow.
Yeah, he's great on Twitter.
Yeah.
I'm going to make a bold statement here.
Go.
I love the internet. I watched through an hour-long
disagree. Hard
documentary
pass.
somebody made on the company Virtuality. They were the company in the 90s that made the
Yeah,
virtual...
dude. At the mall, you would have those shitty proto Vives.
Right. So they went and they looked at like the tracking tech was in the ring that you're around there, and they actually compared the tracking tech for that thing today, and they were really good. They said it was consistent. Like if you did this thing, you didn't really get motion sickness. They said that the ability for this thing to track where you were in the next gen one where you stand up in that ring, they said it was very good. They've tested the video. People played it now, can play it versus versions on the Rift. They're like, the graphics are super low res. That doesn't bother. They're like, this company, like what they built in the 90s was pretty amazing. It was a 20-person company building everything.
Wow.
From,
I remember playing the Ring one.
Yeah.
And it was it was good. I remember really. I mean, like the next time that I had an experience that good was the Vive.
This looks like that. There's a similar ring thing out there now with like a slippery surface.
Yeah.
And it's supposed to use that to track your position in VR today. Was that pretty much the same thing?
No. This was just that ring basically has antennas in there to sense where the headset is in space.
Oh, okay.
Because remember, like back then, even your LCD screens were pretty big and they were on side mounted. So tracking technology, now you have these tiny little trackers, but even like look at what you have to do a Vive with the room scale stuff, and that's using really good sensor stuff. And so that was their solution, but it turned out they did a really good technical job. So this documentary about it was really cool because you followed like some of the people who worked on the pioneers of VR, how they ended up making that. And it's like it was just a testament to how much they were able to push that era tech. But I just love finding so like we talk about Defunct Land. What a delight.
Yeah.
And like I said, the Scott Manley videos. Like I just love learning stuff and like watching a guy talk about physics and rocketry and break that stuff down and just it's great.
Hey, what do we want to do for after things? Because we have a fair bit of homework between now and Cord Killers to do.
I mean, did you watch the Mandalorian trailer?
Oh, no. I guess we could watch that right now.
Yes.
All right.
Okay. Well, I'll have to look.
I'll
away
keep an
from
eye
it.
on the stream.
Okay. Yeah. You let us.
This is all from the
D23.
B-15. Like we get to tell that joke now because that episode came out. That was the
Wait, which one?
B-15. Oh, wait. I guess that was the previous one. The Jeffrey Epstein joke.
Oh yes, no B14. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Here's the Mandalorian trailer coming to Disney Plus.
Oh, I'm already in love. And this is Jon Favreau, right?
Yeah.
Bounty hunting is a complicated profession. Don't you agree?
Holy shit. Holy shit. Oh my god, no winks. No, it's the Emperor's voice. Oh, is that Darth Vader's breathing? No, like just, oh. And was that IG-88 or some similar model? I mean,
Battle droid.
wow.
Yeah.
Oh my god, this is what I...
Stop! Let's go live. Let's record.
Okay.
Ready?
Yeah, go for it.
Hello and welcome to After Things. I'm Andrew Main, joined by Brian Brushwood,
Hello, beautiful people.
Justin Robert Young,
Hello.
and Bryce Castillo.
Hi, everybody.
We just watched, just seconds ago, the trailer for Mandalorian.
Yeah,
Brian,
I'm sorry. I can't even talk because my jaw is disconnected. That was extraordinary. And yes, it's just a teaser, but everything from what it communicated about the tone that they're going for, that it's totally unrelated. The whole promise of Star Wars is that it's a big galaxy. This is the first anything that I've seen that really feels like it. That it's not about like, is that a Darth Vader wheeze I hear? I mean, it looks amazing. It looks great.
Well, there was a great comment that I remember reading from George R.R. Martin, and he was talking about like the fandom for his books, and that he wrote this character where they had a cloak of crow's feathers. He's just a knight that he wanted to write. Like, he just wanted a world of cool people that are at this place, and there's a knight with a cloak of crow's feathers. And that, like, there has been this tremendous fandom around that character, and like he kind of played it off as like, I mean, what are you gonna do? You give somebody a cool costume, and now all people want to do is talk about it. And obviously, that's so much of the Boba Fett story is that he was just supposed to be a cool guy in the background. But when you think about it, when I was watching this trailer, I'm like, no, you want to know what? Like I think there tends to be this like nerds and their costumes kind of like shrugging from creators about it. But you watch this and you're like, no, we just sense that there's a larger world behind there. We want to know why they have the cool costume. We want to know why they're so interesting, why they're peacocking, and obviously, even for Boba Fett, a lineup of other interesting characters. He's obviously the most interesting. And then you watch this and you're like, oh, yeah, it's... being a bounty hunter in the Star Wars universe is really cool.
Well, and it feels like this takes place. I mean, I know it's been in the press releases and stuff, but it's like for the visuals I see, all read as this is the fringes of civilization. These are the outer lands. These are the borders.
After Jedi, so the galaxy's in a bit of disarray. So we enter in another Mandalorian who's the star of this one. And we get what's it like after you blow up the Death Star and all of a sudden, hey, the Empire's completely fallen apart. By the way, the Empire's completely fallen apart.
Yeah, which means power struggles and local chieftains and warlords and fiefdoms and there's so much potential. And I think the part that has me the most excited is I believe in all of the talent that we've read associated with this. Is it what's his name? Michael Pena? Is he no, wait, what? I'm getting his name wrong. What's the name of the Mandalorian?
Pedro Pascal.
There we go. That's right. From Narcos, and directed by
Jon Favreau.
Yeah, Jon Favreau. Sorry.
Well, multiple directors for each episode. It's like Taika Waititi's done episodes. They brought in a lot, like Bryce Dallas Howard, I think, directed one episode.
Oh, wow.
So we're getting, a really interesting cast of people directing them.
Yeah, look, it looks awesome. I'm eagerly, the only thing that holds me back is just like, man, in this new, beautiful, bountiful harvest of Star Wars material, like the one thing that they haven't been able to do is the thing that we are seeing now. This looks very exciting, but I don't know how much I can willfully get super excited about it until I see it. I'm cautiously optimistic. Cautiously optimistic.
Look, we have good cause to be cautious in our
Although
optimism.
Nick Nolte is definitely in this, and so is Werner Herzog. Which
That was
is
Werner
amazing.
Herzog doing the final line.
Yeah.
Oh, so that was Carl Weathers. I was like,
Yeah,
there's
Carl
no
Weathers.
way
Yeah,
that
yeah.
was Carl Weathers. And then it turns out it was. That's amazing.
Oh, yeah.
Baby, you got a stew going.
He's like, do you realize what a value the Whopper is?
Yeah, the thing about Wookiee fur.
Yeah, very exciting. And look, Disney Plus certainly rolled out a lot of their stuff. They're gonna push the living hell out of this thing.
Giancarlo Esposito's in it.
Yeah, that
Yeah, no,
was
they
in the trailer.
they assembled a little
Imperial.
murderers row
Right.
of great television and film actors. Yeah, look, this looks good. Disney Plus looks good. I don't know. I don't know. I don't know what else to say other than I'm cautiously, hopefully optimistic.
Yeah, we don't. I mean, that we've for those 6 times,
Yeah.
But
Well, but I think this is the venue. What we've all wanted here on this show, as fans of the extended universe, is the extended universe proved you could tell stories that are adjacent to the Skywalkers. It's a rich world filled with complicated problems. You can tell a million different stories that don't have to do with movies that came out in the late 70s and early 80s, right? And certainly this has the iconography. Somebody gets frozen in carbonite, so you have elements and touchstones kind of back to that. But just a deal went wrong, and now you got to be on the run, and somebody's daughter wants to join the people on the wrong side of the tracks. You can tell me one of these stories. I'm anxiously awaiting.
yeah. I as a trailer, it exceeded my expectations. It exceeded my the only thing is like, well, Disney, but man, I hope, and
Did you see that other, not really a trailer, just sort of a bunch of old clips and then like 10 seconds of the new movie?
The what? Wait, which one?
With
No.
evil
For Star Wars?
Evil Ray. Yeah.
Oh, no, I haven't seen it yet.
Yeah. There's a thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, there you go. That's the top story. The Rise of Skywalker is just mainly it's a bunch of old clips that you'd seen with moving music, but if you just want to scoot to the last 20 seconds, you get a display of what looks like an evil version of Rey holding a double lightsaber that snaps into a what's his name? From
Darth Maul.
Phantom Menace
Yeah.
style, yeah. And then there you go. That's the 3-second clip.
I guess my problem is that those are not the things that excite me. Werner Herzog, grizzled, telling it's complicated business being a bounty. That excites me.
Yeah.
Not it's double. And it's like it's like.
Yeah, look, I mean, I don't know. That movie's going to be what that movie is. I don't know. I mean, let's stick with Disney Plus. Obviously, there's been plenty of new streaming services. We've already seen a few live and die, like the FX one that got caught up in the Disney merger. But is this like a must-add
Oh,
for all of us?
Well, especially at the price that they're launching it at. I mean, that's insane. Oh, really? Really?
Oh, price $10 so you don't have to listen to us go, did you see this? Did you watch that?
Part of it is that I'm not big on the Star Wars stuff. The Marvel stuff sounds okay. That's gonna be that's a wait and see on the Marvel stuff. And then as far as the Disney and the Pixar back catalog, I mean, it'd be cool to see all that stuff. But
How about the Jeff Goldblum stuff? How about the Jeff Goldblum show?
when it comes out and I hear if it's okay.
Wait, hold on. Can you Google something really quick?
Sure.
Just Google Jeff Goldblum Spider-Man. He was asked on the red carpet for this event. But it's just...
Okay, here's the Twitter.
Yeah, no, Jeff Goldblum's reaction, yeah.
Let's get audio.
Just national treasure,
Why do
this
you think
guy.
Spider-Man is such an important part of the MCU? Because there may be a little divorce happening.
No, this is the first I've heard of it. I'm crestfallen.
Christfallen.
Save. What's happening? I didn't know any of this.
So Sony and Marvel are having a hard time coming to terms.
This
on
is at the
agreement to
D23
co-produce
step and
Spider-Man. So
repeat.
it's looking like Spider-Man may go back to Sony and not be part of the MCU anymore.
I'm not a business person. You're speaking. Whatever you say is Greek to me. But all these, the mountains of produttore and
I love this
know.
man.
It'll all work out, I'm sure. Good luck. I'll figure it out.
Did I ever tell you about like, you're in LA moment with Jeff Goldblum?
Oh, really?
Is one, there's a bar where he plays music at, and people say if you show up there half an hour early, he just hangs out and talks to you. So I have a lot of friends who've got like photos of them and Jeff Goldblum because he talks. I was going to some Mexican restaurant for Cinco de Mayo, and I'm walking along, and I see a couple people just walk up to some guy. This tall guy's got like a little dog on a leash, whatever, and I see him doing this sort of thing, like the hands, just friendly, whatever, and it's Jeff Goldblum just talking to a couple people. They're like, oh, oh, nice to meet you. How are you? What are you doing here? How's your day? And he was just what you expect.
Yeah.
What you expect. And he was just on the sidewalk and people just he was just nothing pretentious about him at all. And I didn't say anything because I was just watching the spectacle of Jeff Goldblum, I'm thinking like, what a neat person.
Hey, Jeff, I loved you in Jurassic Park. Oh, what a magical connection the celluloid makes. Me and you, we're here together now, but truly we were together back then, back in 1994.
I did love the story that Jeff B. Davis on Harmontown told, where he had some gig, and so you go to a costume thing at on the Universal lot, and he needed to check out. I need a pair of glasses, and apparently they have the pedigree of each thing that you check out.
Yeah.
And he had this pair of glasses, and then realized, looking up the ledger, that these were the glasses that were checked out to Jeff Goldblum, and he was just like, I'm stealing the hell out of these. Has them to this very day.
That's funny.
So Disney Plus is a must get for the rest of you?
Well, yeah, certainly anybody who has kids. The value proposition is just too.
Well, and also
powerful.
anyone who has Hulu, because Hulu's built into it, right?
Right.
There's a combo deal that will have ad-supported Hulu.
Yeah, which right now I have ad-supported Hulu. Although once I realized how much you pay for ad
Why would
I don't know. Whatever. I bought it because I didn't really use Hulu all that much.
Shame.
But yeah, that's stupid, and I'll be getting the combo because also I have ESPN Plus, so it's like the fact that I'll get that all together just makes sense to me. And Disney Plus seems like a thing that I'm gonna have to talk about, whether or not I like everything on there or not. So it is a business expense.
Yeah, I mean, $10 a month or whatever for if I get if I get a few seasons a year that I enjoy, that's worth it, as far as enjoyment. And we'll see how good the stuff is. The Marvel slate sounds interesting.
Also, you guys do realize that when I get Hulu Plus, Disney Plus, my very first move is going to be to see whether or not
hacking the system is on there,
whether or not
we're
a
Nat
Disney
Geo catalog
princess. Yeah.
Oh hell yeah, of course, dude, totally.
As you should.
Uh,
But yeah, to me, I think that it's the stuff there. The what we've seen so far, like Mandalorian was the first we've seen of an example of what the scale and what they're trying to do for one of these limited series. We haven't seen what they're going to do with the Marvel stuff yet, but I think that film. If you told me this was the Mandalorian
cinematic. No, that is big screen level cinematic. This is them looking at Game of Thrones and saying like, yeah, we can do that. We can do a Game of Thrones level Star Wars series, and they have, they are at where Game of Thrones, where their budgets and spectacle ended. They're going to begin with that level of spectacle.
Yeah.
Yeah. So exciting stuff. I'm looking forward to it. It's going to be this very fractured sort of future that we live in. And as we talked about here, the idea that we'll just subscribe to this for a couple months, then go, unsubscribe and go somewhere else, whatever. We'll see. It'd be interesting to see what's the shape of things going to be 10 years from now. And, now with also we're getting more games. Like Apple Arcade is launching soon.
And the rumor is that's only going to be like $5 a month.
And is it going to be similar to the Google streaming thing?
No,
or?
this will be more like Netflix. You pay a subscription and you get access to these exclusive games.
Man, that's wild.
But basically, this would be a curated. So it's like if you've ever been like, I would like to have more games. Anybody got any games that they like
Right.
that I can play? Like now it's like pay this thing and you'll have a curated supply that you'll never have to worry about whether or not it's worth buying. You can just try it.
And
That is
they work
really
offline.
remarkable that we're all
iPad.
sort of that we have $60 CD fatigue or whatever, where it's like I don't want to buy games month after month after month. Like just sign me up.
Yeah, there's also something to, I think part of the value of that can be the discovery factor, in that there are a lot of really great indies and other people out there that don't have the marketing capabilities and the larger companies do. And the upside for something like this is that, a deal with, an Apple or when, Stadia launches and I think they're going to have some stuff on there that'll be like come with a subscription it can be very helpful because, you guys know every day in the YouTube world, you're fighting for attention. You're fighting to get seen. And if somebody isn't invested in your success, then you're, at a disadvantage compared to stuff that's got much bigger marketing budgets, et cetera.
Yeah.
So
It's interesting. I realized something over the weekend. I was thinking about, remember that scene in Wayne's World when they sell out and they keep
Is it
throwing...
Wayne's World 2, which I never saw, but
No,
I'm
this is
familiar
the
with it.
first one, isn't it?
No.
Where they're doing the Nuprin, small,
where they're
yellow,
doing,
different.
Yeah,
Rob
where they're doing
Lowe,
the
right?
product placement.
No, yeah, it's Rob Lowe. And Rob Lowe wasn't the villain in the second one, was he?
Yeah, he was.
He was?
I'm pretty sure. I could be wrong.
Rob Lowe was definitely the villain in the first one.
Okay, well then I'm probably wrong. But
Anyway, I was remembering. Wayne's World.
okay, I'm wrong.
I was just realizing if you were to do that scene today, it would all be subscription services. Like, or it would all be like the podcast ads of like, if you were to redo that scene.
It would be purple mattresses. It
Yeah.
would be getroman.com/rogue.
Yes, it would be. I was just trying to think of like, all right, so what would the crass, because like in that moment, it's like Pepsi, right? It's all like the new upstarts that are trying to grab attention in the moment. That like, it's not aspirin, it's Nuperin, right? It's Reebok, not Nike. It's like all these other ascendant kind of brands. And I was thinking like, what would you do? And I'm like, oh, they would all be get stuff in a box every month.
Right.
Or,
TikTok. They would do TikToks.
TikTok, yeah.
Because there's a lot of TikTok advertising out there.
Yeah, Walken is the villain in Wayne's World too. He beat him to death with his own shoe.
So, I mean, is this sort of thing what happening sort of like we see in movies, the whole tentpole strategy is becoming bigger and bigger and bigger, where it's the franchises, the big franchises do that. And then is kind of the other outlet now for really creative indie, or not indie, but smaller stuff, really, is it the smaller screen?
Oh, it's got to be. And
100%.
it has been for a while, yeah. And what'll be really interesting is to see, I assume, and we've talked about this a lot, that Quibi, the short format distribution platform, is going to probably die because it smells an awful lot like Vessel.
But that's, okay, can we just pause? And we'll get right back to what you're saying. How fascinating is it that this thing is still, because we're like 6 months away from
it
this
even
thing
starting.
launching.
Right.
We've heard about it. I feel like we've heard about it for 5 years.
Yep.
It's perpetually forever away from now. And almost nobody thinks it's going to be a success. I have yet to hear, like, the case for Quibi.
Yes. So on top of that, though, but here's the thing. With something that big, there has to be something genius in the middle of it. And whether it's genius enough to, recoup the $1 billion that have been invested so far into programming. But something good is going to come out of that. And that's what I'm really excited to find out is, it can't all be terrible.
I'm sure the whole it's very 10 years ago, hey, really short form content. That's the future, because at that point, these 2-minute, 3-minute YouTube videos were doing great, you know, and then you had a few years later, you get like WhatsApp and stuff, and that became kind of a platform. And certainly with Instagram stories and stuff, the shorter form content, but it does feel like, well, let's do a media play to get into this thing that everybody's really into 5 years ago. But Brian, what's the average length of your YouTube video now?
I mean, it's getting closer to 20 minutes. They're getting pretty long.
Yeah, we were literally, before we started recording, we were talking about a 50-minute video that Bryce sent me. Like the not only does the algorithm reward it, right, longer watch time, but also that's just where we want that, because we can, to Andrew's point, if you were to say, okay, Katzenberg and Meg Whitman are launching a new thing, and what they're going to do is create short form stuff that's going to live inside of Instagram or Snapchat, right? That you're going to follow these things and they're going to have ads appended to them, but like you're going to get a new Steven Spielberg thing that you'll be able to watch in an Instagram story, and then they're going to repurpose it somewhere else. It's like, okay, that makes sense. To pay a fee to watch something that's annoying that I won't be able to watch easily on my television, like, I don't know. Maybe they've got it and nobody understands it, but that's what's fascinating, is that this thing, again, we've heard about this thing forever. I feel like I graduated high school and I started hearing rumors about
you
Quibi.
did. JC Calhoun points out in the chat was webisodes. That was the term back then when it was hard to stream stuff, so we had really short streams when we're watching on the desktop. And you had a flood of content that was basically too crappy for broadcast TV.
Yeah.
And like, oh, we'll dice it up into 2-minute sections and people will love it. And I was like, no, this is garbage. This is, you know, I mean, I hope Quibi's great, but like what we've seen before, like why is it 2 minutes? Why have you set that limit there?
Because that's how long it takes to poop.
Do you guys remember, I don't know if you guys saw 30 Rock or not, but 30 Rock made a joke about like web content and short form media. And so the idea is they would do 10-second sitcoms and they would just be these one joke things. But this was all like before Vine, before before anything. So we just watched one in the span of that. But it's weird because at the time it was like this is a stupid idea, but that is what people drifted towards, but maybe not major content, like not Hollywood.
Right.
So I don't know. It'll be interesting to see because we've seen Snapchat has had video. There's IGTV, which is trying to do social video stuff, but
well, you brought Snapchat. Snapchat had a lot of people who were developing content specific for Snapchat. That was a big deal. There was all these content deal talks about so and so's developing this for that. And then it ended up being, they didn't have the retention, whatever. And Quibi's like, oh, we got $100 million ads. Yes, that's the experimental ad budget that every major advertiser has. Like, yeah, we'll put this much towards your platform. Snapchat had that first, and they're like, look at how well we're doing. Like, yeah, then they're going to wait to see how well those ads do, and then you'll see what their follow-up is.
At some point, advertisers, funny story, expect to see results, like an increase of sales.
And that's the thing is, so I'm going to pay, what is it? $3.99 for Quibi, $4.99 for Quibi.
That's the part I can't even.
$5 a month with ads, $8 for ad free.
The lack of a free option when your target market is the teenagers, I can't even.
And when we are at a point of subscription fatigue.
Oh yeah,
like we are at a point where now like an average person is like, I do a lot of these. Like, let me take a look. It is easy to cancel. I'll cancel HBO when the shows I don't like aren't on. I'll cancel Netflix when the shows that I don't like aren't on. Like, I don't really care about the library as much anymore.
Because there are no sacred cows anymore. I've been on the verge of getting rid of Netflix for the past 2 months.
Well, especially because you can go back whenever you want.
Right.
Right?
Yeah. Right.
Netflix new policy. You're dead to us.
Well, that was funny. Like my sister-in-law is talking about like cutting the cord, and I was like, yeah, look, just do it. Sign up. She's like, oh, I don't know which of these things I'm going to pick. I'm like, literally pick one out of a hat. And if you don't like it, guess what? Then today you can cancel it, sign up for the next one.
I mean, that's
and they have trials.
We've talked about this on Cord Killers, where it's like my standard advice is cancel everything, all of them. And the moment you feel the slightest impulse to want a thing, sign up for that and then do it for as long as you want, or buy it. Like lately, I mean, it's astonishing. Once you free up that $100 to $180 a month that you're currently spending on cable, it is truly astonishing how freewheeling you could be about buying media left and right.
I do the same thing with all of my medical prescriptions.
I
Well,
cancel
I
it.
feel the symptoms, and then I'm like, I think my frustration, and it's the old man Maine here speaking from here we go again, is somebody announces a platform, they go bring in these big names from entertainment, Spielberg and everybody else is going to be creating content. They write big checks to these people, and they're like, yeah, I'll put my name and produce something for you there. Meanwhile, I'm going to go do the thing I really want to go do. And you get content. It's like, it's okay or whatever. And they buy the big names to put it on there. But these aren't people who are, let's say, have track records. We were just talking about before we started this episode, I'm like, I love the internet because I find a documentary somebody made on a virtual reality company from the 90s, and it's great. We talk about Defunctland, and it's great. And it's guys like Brian and Justin who've spent years learning how to make content for this platform.
Yeah.
Where, these other platforms can be like, maybe it'd be great, but it's like, we'll get this famous person, and we'll make content for it. And we've seen this with a lot of these podcast startups, whatever. And the content's just, it's an afterthought to the people they bring in, and it ends up just withering away.
Yeah, because it's not like, like Luminary or whatever went and spent a bunch of money on a bunch of big names, but they're just like, they're basically the same impulse that if you're like a fan, if you want to join a fan club, why do you want to listen to Trevor Noah's podcast? Is it Trevor Noah doing something that's interesting? Because I know a little bit about Trevor Noah. I don't like him enough that I need to listen to his podcast, but if it was like Trevor Noah doing a thing that leveraged what I know about him in an interesting way, then maybe I'd pay attention to it.
Or giving super secret behind the scenes sauce on your favorite show.
Whatever.
Right.
Whatever. Whatever. I don't know. The celebrity idea of podcasting is fascinating.
Well, because like the whole pitch is like, I'm here, more of me.
Yeah.
And you look at, I love looking at counterexamples of things that just should not work but are extremely successful. If you showed somebody 4 minutes, 5 minutes of the Joe Rogan podcast, or the Joe Rogan show, you'd be like, how is this going to work? These comedians aren't any jokes. This is going to be fail.
Yeah.
Yet,
he's Boy Oprah.
Boy Oprah. Boy Oprah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So.
Well, we did it. We fixed the internet. You're welcome, internet.
Yeah. But we point out this is just telling you what works on the internet, and it's like, pay attention to what works on the internet. That's
I just realized I have to go pick my kid up from the bus. So my pick is still the 3-body problem. Bye.
Bye. All right.
Do you have a pick, Andrew?
My pick is going to be the pick that I am going to say.
I got one. If you want to.
Yeah, we can.
If you want a moment.
I always go last, guys. I use you guys to figure it out.
You got some juice?
I do. Yeah.
What do you got?
So I'd actually be curious if you guys listen to it, because I think it would be best enjoyed by people that are unfamiliar with this story. But 30 for 30, the ESPN documentary brand, has a new podcast series called The Sterling Affairs. Mr. Sterling was the owner of the LA Clippers, and a few years ago, the extraordinary action was taken by the league to strip him of his team because a series of tapes leaked with horrifyingly racist language on it. So if you are unfamiliar with who Donald Sterling is, the content of these tapes, the characters that emerged around it, it is a sports story that does not focus on... There's an episode that focuses on a game, and everything that is important about that episode is about what the players are going to do in reaction to this news story during the game. It's not about X's and O's. It's not about points and winning. And I will just say it contains just movie-level caricature humans. They are bizarre. I'd be curious to see what non-sports fans think, because I liked it, but also this didn't happen all that long ago. And so a lot of the stuff that I heard while shocking and ridiculous, is stuff that I remember from fairly recent history. But for people who have never heard it, man, there are some lines that I don't even want to spoil because they are
Cartoonish.
like ridiculous.
Yeah.
I want to spoil just one element that Donald Sterling goes on a redemption tour after all of this has broken and does one of the most bizarre interviews with Anderson Cooper you have ever heard. Well worth it. Go listen.
Cool. I'll check that out. 30 for 30.
You know, when you're, owner of a sports team and a super wealthy man dating an incredibly hot, much younger woman who maybe you let her see people on the side and she brings them to the game, it can be complicated.
There's a lot of complications. And it really, the person that gets interviewed, of the principals, Donald Sterling doesn't get interviewed and the mistress doesn't get interviewed, but they have obviously provided a lot of tape that fills out the story. But Donald Sterling's wife does extensively get interviewed. And there's some stuff that I probably knew at the time, but some like real cloak and dagger stuff as we get to the end of exactly how all this went down, because this entire issue pops up, as you find out in the first 2 minutes of the podcast, because the mistress and the wife get into a fight. And that sets all of the dominoes that fall in this story.
Oh, wow. Cool. I got to pick. I have been kind of... I've fallen back into this. It is Grand Theft Auto Online. It is a multiplayer version of GTA 5, which is, the big open world shooting and crime game. It's really fascinating to see what they've done with multiplayer for Grand Theft Auto games over the years. The past one for GTA 4 only had like one-on-one multiplayer. You would load into the same world and you would just kind of play around together. But here they've really built it out like an MMO sort of grind, where you're going and doing missions and you're lobbying up with people, and there are races and treasure hunts and all sorts. Like they've filled out. They've made like an infinite version of GTA, and it's interesting, especially just because it still has to deal with like all the things that online games have to deal with, like hacking and updates and how do you
gold farming,
economy,
and character selling.
But it's really interesting, and I am managing to have a good amount of time with it in the way that I don't normally do with MMO types of games. I think because so much of this is built around playing either mostly by yourself or occasionally with a friend. But it's cool, and it like comes free with GTA 5. So millions of people have the game just by virtue of having.
So there's just a huge
game.
install base.
Yeah,
gotcha.
So check it out.
My pick is Always Amazing.
Oh, you loved it. Or you liked it?
So, for those of you who know, Always Amazing was the other Amazing Jonathan documentary.
Yes.
And it is nowhere near as polished. It's nowhere near has the production quality of the one on Hulu. But for my money, for having it is available, you can watch it for free on YouTube, for having heart and actually telling a story about the character. Thought it was really well done. Really enjoyed it. I was very, very happy with it. I mean, again, it doesn't have the polish, and it spends a lot of time, focusing on his relationship with this guy you see here, who we saw on the Hulu doc. Do you know who he is?
No.
The Hulu documentary?
No.
He was basically Jonathan's manager for like 15 years. Found him when he was a 12-year-old kid, came to a show in Australia, was a super huge fan, became almost like a son to Jonathan, and basically worked with Jonathan for over a decade.
Wow.
Yeah, wouldn't know it. You wouldn't know it. You would just think he was some guy MC from the other one. Turns out this is a guy that was around it. And you talk about, drug use is totally discussed here. It's very much on display there. They get into that. And again, it's not, the Hulu one is extremely polished. But my problem is it's not about Jonathan, and the story that it does tell, to me, just felt false and fake, and was just trying to do something different than the other one.
Yeah.
But,
and we talked about it at length last week. So go find that episode. We certainly went in depth on the Hulu one. But you're saying this one.
It's a contrast. I'm just saying. My point
Yeah,
is that
yeah.
this is again, it doesn't have the polish of that, but it has the story. It has the story, and there's a very interesting story there. So
Cool. Check it out.
so,
Always
it's
amazing.
Yeah. Cool. It's been after.
Hey, there we go.
The launch is
Delayed
now
until-
scheduled for 5 p.m. Texas time.
Yeah, I caught that. So,
Call.
everybody, check it out while we are offline. Alrighty. Stay tuned. We're gonna have Cord Killers here in a couple hours. Tomorrow we're gonna rerun the Night Attack that we did surprising over on Friday.
Yeah.
So that'll be here on the channel while we go and do the live show, and then that live show will be up next week's episode probably.
Next week. Yeah. Hopefully some special guests,
Yeah.
including Tom. Tom's flying.
Including Tom Merritt, which is great. Tom Merritt alone.
You got Tom Merritt?
We booked the Tom
Tom
Merritt.
Merritt.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's a real diva with his agent, but
Thank you everybody for listening, for watching. We'll be back soon. We gotta go. Bye. Bye.
Bye, friends.